Hello, and welcome back to the WhiskAYE podcast, number 20. Believe that we're getting our regular bi-monthly uploads on schedule now, so that's good. This one is, as always, on Dram Team box. This was October 2020. Loch Lomond Whiskies is the theme. So the card that comes with the box says Loch Lomond Distillery Edition. In this box, we explore the mouth-watering selection of distinctive whisky styles produced at Loch Lomond Distillery. Combining several types of malted barley, a unique array of distillation techniques, and an assortment of cask maturation methods, their range is unparalleled in its variety. The Willy Wonkas of whisky, and you've won the golden ticket. So grab your grandpa, grab a Glencairn, and enjoy this remarkable tasting tour. Slange. I'll struggle to grab my grandpa because I don't have any left.
Yeah, same.
But,
we're Northerners.
Yeah, I'm the Northernest of Northerners.
Actually, to
my
be fair,
grandparents were actually both Northern English. So
I'm gonna say it'd be pretty easy to grab them. They're very stationary.
yeah,
Took me a while to get back up there, and I don't know if that's essential travel.
And I think my back would probably give out digging, but
yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. 6 feet, it's a long way.
Yeah. But yeah, so off to Loch Lomond we go. Not as long a trip for me as it is for you. Slightly longer than it was now that I've moved, but
I can say what for me, have you moved the lock?
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely bit of the world. I won't mind it, but obviously going nowhere at the moment. For listeners later, still very much in COVID lockdown.
Yes, we're currently in the throes of you are allowed to go for Christmas, but only just.
Yeah, thanks to our compatriots from London.
Yeah, spreading their extra virulent strain.
Yeah, rather than just like bunking down as they were meant to. Oh well, I suppose we should drink some whiskey, shouldn't we?
We should drown our sorrows.
Indeed.
It's 3 days out from Christmas, so I guess now that we're both on annual leave, celebrate that.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I'm always up for a whiskey-based celebration. So I will get straight into like 10 minutes into our first whiskey. Yeah. So this is Loch Lomond, obviously, aged 12 years, perfectly balanced, with 2 types of malted barley, unpeated and gently peated, put through 2 different distillation methods, using a traditional pot still or a special straight neck pot still. This whiskey showcases the unique variety of production methods Loch Lomond has at its disposal, their signature whiskey, and a wonderfully balanced fruity dram. On the nose, you should get crisp green apple and ripe pear. Oh, you've got to pick out both of those. And refreshing citrus lemon with background notes of golden cereal. So, can you pick out both apple and pear?
No, I'm just getting pear, funnily enough. Let's call it orchard fruits. And,
I can say, you stole my joke. I was going to be like, I can detect orchard fruits. That's the problem. You've only got 5 jokes. It's always easy for someone to beat you to it, isn't it?
I'm getting the sort of cereal notes.
Golden cereal, brown cereal.
I don't know what the difference in the scents of cereals are.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like
except that frosty smell like sugar.
Yeah, you can feel your teeth melt as you eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of.
It smells like unmalted barley, really.
Yeah. Yeah, like what you imagine grains and that smell like.
It's very fresh.
It is. Yeah, very light.
Like, considering they do have some peat in here.
Yeah,
don't notice any of that.
Even me, the most sensitive peat person on earth, not getting any peat from that. Not getting any peat from that at all. So, I'll let you crack into it then. So the palate. Oh no, orchard fruits. Damn you, Chris, you beat us. And lemon meringue. The deep fruity character of pear leads into citrus lemon, vanilla meringue, and light biscuit sweetness. The finish is medium length with gentle wood smoke and a lingering peaty tang. So,
I don't know if I'm getting the peat in the finish, but I definitely do get that sort of sharpness of like apples, say, or
that kind of
like a not like a sweet apple so much, but not a bitter apple, like
yeah.
maybe like a Braeburn.
Best apple.
Yeah,
Kind of a mid palate like sweetness almost. It's very light, isn't it? It's very balanced. They call it balanced. That is very balanced. I do get a very slight hint of smoke at the end, but not like a medicinal smoke, like a wood smoke. And it's all right, that. I can live with that kind of smoke.
If you like swill it round your mouth, there is like an extra sweetness, which is slightly creamier. That's probably where this meringue concept is coming from.
It's like fresh, like toothpaste is fresh. Not quite to that level, but that kind of effect. Like it feels like it's cleaned your palate.
Yes. It's almost a palate cleanser that I suppose that's because it's so heavily centered around the sort of orchard fruits kind of
flavor. Yeah, could be.
Because people eat apples in between, like they hand out slices of apples in fancy restaurants when they have tasting menus and stuff, don't they? So
I've never been to a fancy restaurant, but that sounds appropriate. Orchard fruit.
When I was at a interview for, well, not an interview, but like an assessment centre for a grad scheme, not the one that we went on in the end. The one that I failed because my Gmail on my phone didn't load that there was attachments, and the attachment asked you to write a 15-minute presentation, and I hadn't done one, so I had to do it off the cuff.
All right.
Yeah, that was.
I'm sure that went brilliant. Yeah, not slightly nervous or anything like that.
To be fair, I think I did okay. The problem was I didn't consider how I would tie it into the context of the grad scheme. It had to be about engineering. So I talked about sort of Bernoulli's equation, which is a flow equation for mechanical engineering.
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, basically it shows the relationship between like pressures and height differentials and all that stuff. Anyway, they were then like, how would that be used in? This was for it's nuclear grads, which is they like are a conglomerate, well, not a conglomerate, but like a group where like Rolls-Royce, what are they called, the French electricity people.
Oh, EDF or whatever.
Yeah, EDF. A bunch like Sellafield and that, they all pay into this. And how would that? How would what you've discussed matter in a nuclear power plant? And it took me ages to think about what they would actually try to do in a nuclear power plant, because I'd spent all morning trying to quickly come up with something I could talk about for 15 minutes. And I was like, oh wait, it's a steam raising plant. I got there, and then I was like, you would use it. But first off, I was like, you'd use it to cool the reactor. And they were like, why would you want to cool the reactor? And then my brain was like, to raise steam. But like,
to keep it cool.
Drawing teeth would be what I would say the questions afterwards were. And so then I just basically, there was a dinner that night, and this is coming round to the actual crux of the story. They served the tasting menu, and they had little apple salad in between. I
feel like you wouldn't have fit in somewhere that interviews you with a tasting menu. No offense.
There's a lot of. I feel like I might have just been there on the the equality and diversity.
I think that's the only reason I got this job. So just think.
Well, I've got a first class, and they only accepted me in as a reserve. So
I don't have a first class degree. I don't have a master's.
That's what I mean. I think they were just like, oh God, I've got to pay for someone else to come from Scotland.
Yeah, imagine if you had done that though, you'd have been like doing like gin tasting podcasts with someone called like Tarquin or something like that.
I wouldn't, because I discovered that I discovered recently that I don't hate gin, I hate tonic.
I quite like a gin and tonic. Gin on its own is pretty.
Tonic actually makes me feel sick. Apparently, that is a symptom that some people have, and they have a intolerance to it.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like a gin and tonic, but I like most alcohols, to be honest. But whiskey is definitely the number one.
Yes.
Right. So I have put as our notes for this one, while you were telling your story about your suffering through unconscious bias.
Yeah.
Orchard fruits and cereal on the nose, very balanced and refreshing, with very, very light smokiness coming through, medium finish. And then a comment I've put, balanced is a perfect word, very easy drinking. So any further comments, any corrections, and would you like to give it a score?
I feel like you've captured it with that comment. I don't feel like I necessarily need to add anything.
Would you like to give it a score?
I think that as it's balanced, I feel like a 3 is
a 3.
3.5 maybe. It's very it's just a whiskey.
I thought that was pretty special, so I've given that a 4.
Oh well. I feel like it was more. I feel like balancing it is taking away some of what
it's not got the most character. I'll give you that. But yeah, maybe we need a different, like a tasted, different scoring system where we go by like ease of drinking, character, and that, because like there's like an Abuna is full of character, but I couldn't have it often.
Oh, that would be a very good whiskey to just have a bottle of, so that if you're just feeling like a whiskey,
that's one you could have like 2 or 3 of in a night.
Yeah.
But an Abuna, you'd have like 2, and then you're like, I need something a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's so strong in its one character.
Yeah, exactly.
It does it well.
It does. But this is something that you could just have quite happily. Anyway, we don't have to agree on everything.
No.
That's what makes our banter so amusing to our 26 subscribers.
You never know. We might be up to 27 by the time this one goes out.
Thanks for coming bothered making any more accounts.
Yeah.
Welcome to all our new subscribers, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. It's much appreciated.
Thank you for actually listening, those of you who are.
Yes. Yeah. Welcome to WhiskAYE. Hopefully, by the point you're listening to this, there'll have been some changes. We'll have got a logo maybe, and we'll have got an upload schedule published, and we'll be doing it a bit more professionally. We'll see. Anyway, whiskey number 2, my friend. Do you want to introduce us to that one?
I will. Again, obviously, we're doing Loch Lomond Distillery, so we're sticking with Loch Lomond. This one, however, is aged 14 years and is named Fruit and Cinnamon. Like the Inchmurin 12, which we have yet to have, so good ordering. This is another unpeated malt distilled using the straight neck Loch Lomond stills. However, this 14-year-old expression is aged in refill American oak casks before being finished in Limousin, that's French oak casks, for up to a year, adding warming spice. On the nose, you should be getting coconut, green apple and pear, cinnamon, and clove spice. Oh, and lemon.
There's clove spice. When they say clove spice, I feel like there's 3 kinds of spice in whiskey that we've come across. There's ginger spice, which is like the 4th Spice Girl, 5th Spice Girl.
She's probably the 5th since she quit.
You know more. You and your Spice Girl lore better than I am.
I learned that from watching The Boys, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's ginger spice, which is like warming, and you can that's like what you get in sherried whiskies, and you don't really get it on the nose. There's like spice, which is when it really tingles when you drink it, and you don't really get it. You get it like quite heavily on the nose, and then there's what they call clove spice, which is like the middle one, so it's a little bit spicy.
I'd say clove spice is slightly numbing.
Yeah. But
I would also say there's cinnamon. But
yeah, I feel like cinnamon and ginger spice get blended together.
They do blend a lot, yeah.
Whereas I think clove spice is like the middle spice, so it's not quite overpowering like full on spice, but it's a bit more than the ginger cinnamon.
Yeah, there's definitely a spiciness to this.
Maybe a coconut. Yeah.
Or like shea butter or something like that. Like
that kind of flat smell. I don't know why coconut is a flat smell to me.
I get what you mean with it though. Like it's kind of blunt, but not offensive.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's
this
very
only works.
difficult to describe smells as anything other than what they smell like. That's the problem. When
that's definitely something we've discovered. But fortunately, we seem to have the same kind of understanding of
this
smells.
would be really weird if you had synesthesia. You'd be like, it smells kind of green. And you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, because fortunately, you understand when I say it smells flat, and you understand when I say, oh, it's got a wide mouthfeel. Because I think most people are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, we've tried to describe the sensations that were.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a sharp smell. Everyone knows what a sharp smell is, so why can't you have a flat smell?
Yeah.
It's like the opposite. Anyway, I'll dive in. What should I tasting?
Okay. On the palate, you should be having sweet toffee and vanilla fudge, grapefruit citrus, pineapple, and toasted oak, with a finish that is long and warming spices of clove, and aniseed. Aniseed's an interesting one.
So it's mildly spicy, but nothing to shout home about. There is a little bit of wood in there. Yeah, I can get the toffiness, like the toffee fudge kind of
when you
caramelized sugarness.
When you smell it, it has, like, if you hold it in your mouth, the main flavour I get is toffee. And it's not until I sort of swallow it that I get the grapefruity sharpness.
Yeah, that is very toffee when you hold it in your mouth.
Yeah, that's what she said. Then, sorry, I watched The Office not that long ago, and the American one.
Yeah. Like 1.5 whiskeys in, and you're already making crude jokes.
But yeah, it does have that. There is a little bit of an aniseediness to it.
I'm not getting an aniseed, I must admit.
It's probably just that cloves are in that same sort of family of spice, though. So it's probably just cloves, but because it said aniseed, my brain's adding in that sort of sambuca flavour.
It certainly does do that. Like the only way I would have never got coconut if you hadn't said coconut, and then when you kind of look for it or smell for it, do you get what I mean?
I do.
But smell is definitely the hardest sense to describe, I would say.
Yeah. It is a very long finish.
It's very warming.
But it's 46%. It's not super strong.
It makes it easy because they're all 46%. Yeah.
I imagine that must be their
chill filtering in that, won't it? So I just looked up Limousin just to see if it was a type of booze. It's a region in France, so I'm guessing it's wine casks.
Yeah. Must just be I want to say brand there, but I suppose the species of oak.
I don't know if it'd be a different oak. Could be, I suppose. I don't know if France uses, or if wine uses like local oak, or if they just use oak. They must use local oak, I suppose. So let's see. So Limousin is east of Aquitaine, west of Auvergne, and just above the Midi-Pyrenees. So pretty central France, pushing towards the south. In case people were interested.
I don't know.
And Limoges is the capital.
Googling Limousin wood. I can't do French pronunciations. That's not what I'm here for.
I would say it's Limousin, but my
so
GCSE French was dragged down by.
Apparently, wood for cognac was sourced in either the Limousin or the Tronçais forests. TRONC, but with like a tail.
Like the 5 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And AIS.
Tronçais, yeah, sounds about right.
So that's.
As it must. It's obviously known for its wood then.
Different styles of grain on the oak.
So it could be cognac casks.
I imagine that it must be. Or I don't actually. It could be wine. I'm not sure. Didn't have very much tannins for wine, so.
Depends on the wine, then.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get some notes for this one. So, on the nose, yeah, coconut, and
I didn't really get pear drops.
No, I never got pear drops though. Very strong toffee flavors when held in the mouth.
Oh, pear drops is the next one. There's green apple and pear on this one. I didn't get that on the nose so much.
Strong toffee flavors when held in the mouth, with grapefruit building after. Long warming finish. Would you like to add any comments?
Just the sort of it was interesting how different the finish and the sort of body of the flavor were. So it was quite a soft toffee flavor, I thought, and then finished spicy.
Yeah, good point. Difference between body and finish is in. Okay. Do you want to give it a score?
Probably give that one like a 4.
4.
Yeah.
I will go with a 3.5. I preferred the previous one, but that was very nice as well. Good old Loch Lomond. I'm happy. I was worried because the Loch Lomans we've had.
Oh, there's 2 smoky ones in here, isn't there?
But the Loch Lomans we've had have always been like 2.5s, 3s.
Yeah.
Unremarkable.
Yeah.
Not undrinkables by any measure, but.
Yes, but more of a cabinet whiskey than a
exactly
special occasions.
But these are definitely better than that, as reflected by the scores. Okay, I'll bring us into the next one then. So, can you guess what distillery this one's from?
Loch Lomond?
No, it's from Loch Lomond. You were close though. It's another 12-year-old. Yeah. This one is fruity and sweet Inchmurrin. Is Inchmurrin a distillery?
I believe. I think so.
Do you want to look that up and wonder why? I just wonder why it's in the name. So, unpeated malt from the uniquely shaped straight neck stills.
Inchmurrin, sorry.
What's that?
It's the island in the middle of Loch Lomond.
I knew I'd seen it somewhere. So, unpeated malt from the uniquely shaped straight neck stills is aged in bourbon, refill, and recharred casks before being married together in a secret recipe. Named for the local island of Inchmurrin, which is grassy, soft, and wooded, just like this whiskey, a fragrant delight. So on the nose, distinctively fruity with pear drops and toffee sweetness. Light notes of.
You can see where I got pear drops from.
Yeah. Light notes of freshly cut hay in summer sun. I feel like people who do these tasting notes think that we all grew up on like some idyllic farm where you just like nip down to the stream with your grandpa and
go through your orchard and
he taught you how to fish, and then you came back and your mum had put on like a 3-course meal. And I grew up in Mexborough, right? I mean, I had because my mum's a subscriber, the food I ate there was fantastic. But the local water source from Mexborough does not support life.
Your sense of smell is able to detect 2 smells: coal and not coal.
Coal and wrong. Don't trust this place. It doesn't smell like coal. That's how mining works, isn't it? You just send a bunch of northerners down a pit shaft and they're like, that way.
Like, not this one. This one smells like burnt coal, aka London.
Yeah. You can either trust his hatred of London or his love of coal to drive him in the right direction. Yeah. So pear drops, toffee sweetness, and freshly cut hay.
I suppose freshly cut hay is just your sort of. It's similar to cereals, isn't it?
Yeah, or like cut grass, maybe. This is weird, the smell, this one, because it's like the usual toffee kind of smells that you've got, but then it kind of picks up towards the end. I don't know if that's the pear drops, maybe.
That could be it. It's like sharply sweet.
Yeah, but it starts off really flat, like as a...
Yeah, no, yeah. It
And then it
does
goes,
start in that toffee kind of...
Yeah.
Lulls you in.
Okay, are you ready to have a swig?
I am indeed.
A delicate taste, sorry. Seville orange citrus notes build in intensity before mellowing into peach and apricot. The fruit character gives way to creamy fudge and vanilla. And it's a medium length with a peppery finish. So we'll discuss the peppery bit in a second, but I was just wondering, with you being from Scotland, have you tried an orange, a peach, and an apricot before, or is it just fruit and you just get what you get?
I've definitely tried an orange and a peach. It's an apricot and not furry peach.
Pretty much.
I might have had an apricot. You get these like weird squashed peaches in
yeah.
I'll do it in that.
They're called like flat peaches or flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had them because I got them from Sainsbury's because the label on it was just fruit.
That's it. Were you in a Scottish Sainsbury's?
No. It was just like down here in Bristol. It just said fruit, and I was like,
"Well, to be fair, have you seen some of the people?"
Yeah, fair, but
but
just
mind you, they don't shop in Sainsbury's, so
it's filtered in Sainsbury's, though, isn't it? It's got an Argos in it.
Yeah, so they'll do it when they're picking up stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, it's just really lazy. Just fruit. It's just like, oh, what meat's this? I don't know. It's dead animal. What more you want? Okay, so did you get Seville orange notes? Did you get apricot? Did you get?
I got some kind of tropical fruit, I would say, but more so I got I got the creamy fudge and vanilla more. I would say like a toffee flavor. Like when you hold it, there is some the fruitiness comes through a bit more, I would say.
Yeah, so I did it like a sip and straight through, and then a sip and held it. A straight through one, 100% fudge, vanilla, toffee, those flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Holding it, there's a certain sweetness there, but I don't know if it's a fruity sweetness.
No, that's what I mean. It's like there's
maybe
something.
A peach, because a
peach
peach
just
is
have a kind of creamy flavor-ish.
Yeah, they're not a particularly strong flavour, are they? They're not sharp. They don't cut through.
That's why they use peach syrup for fruit salads, because it doesn't cover the flavour of the fruits.
I never thought of that. That makes sense. And it's definitely got that peppery finish.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. It's kind of like there's a creaminess into the peppery, though. Like it blossoms out and then narrows in on the peppery sort of spice.
Yeah. I'm just typing up my notes.
All right. Yes. Whilst you're doing that, I was discussing Christmas presents with people now that Dover's shut. One of mine that I ordered isn't going to arrive until January because it's stuck. There's no lorries to pick it up. I was on a meeting at work over Skype and someone, or Teams maybe, and someone said, "Oh, at least you've managed to buy most of your presents. I've still got to get mine." And I said, I assume you'll be getting your Amazon Prime membership at least, or are you planning on doing the old 24-hour garage on Christmas Eve, bag of coal for everyone? But I imagine that's like a good Christmas in Yorkshire, right? Bag of coal for everyone.
It depends, because you've got to look at it two ways. For the receiver, yes. Yeah. But if you're the buyer and you had to go and buy it rather than gather it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, you could gather it yourself. If you want.
Yeah. If it's home gathered, then fine. But if you had to go and buy it yourself, you'd have to go over to the next town because they'd recognise you in your town.
So 100% organic, homegrown coal.
Homegrown coal. nice and clean. Perfect for getting your hands completely acky and just ruining everything. It's like, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but is Yorkshire the only place that has like coal, like sculptures, like statuettes that you can get, like usually of trains or things like that?
Made from coal?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen something like that. I thought you meant like statues about miners. I was like, no, they're
No, no,
scattered
no.
all
So it's
over.
like imagine like I don't know, 6-inch tall, like 10-inch, 12-inch long train, like a steam train,
Yeah.
carved out of coal on a coal plinth. Hmm?
Well,
And
so your fire can be fancy.
they're pretty no, they're for decoration, and they're pretty common. Like
Well,
I've
you
seen
don't
loads
just
of
get coal dust everywhere.
yeah. So they're kind of like polished up, so they're kind of like shiny,
Yeah.
but you still just get coal dust.
Let's just make your house really flammable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing is, like, if you did have a house fire, it'd burn for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a consistent house fire. It wouldn't just like a blazing inferno that dies down and disappoints everyone.
Yeah, I was waxing some drawers because, like, the drawers we had were, like, the chest of drawers we had was pretty tatty, so we sanded it down, and I was waxing the drawers to like give them a new finish,
Mm-hmm.
and when we bought the wax from like the paint shop, they were like, you need to soak the rags after you've waxed it because they basically are like super flammable because they've got like paraffin wax in them. Like they were like,
For Molotovs.
Like they're like, I've never known it to happen, but there is anecdotal evidence that they can spontaneously combust if it gets warm. Like so yeah, they sat in the sink for a bit afterwards. But yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like, if anything's going to just burn, like coal, probably don't want that. Mind you, coal isn't that easy to get going, is it? Like, you have to basically have flames, and then it'll. Although, coal dust would be pretty flammable.
Coal dust is flammable, but any dust is flammable.
Yeah.
But you couldn't just get a lighter and get it to a block of coal and it'd go.
No. Usually you have to have.
It's just once it's going, it's hard to stop going.
Yeah. It's a rock that you've heated up.
Yeah. Did you want to score this one?
Yeah. I'll go 3.5 on that one, I think.
3.5. Yeah, I'll agree with you as a 3.5. It was another good one, but yeah, as good as the previous one for me. But I still really like that first one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I might have to bring your expertise in then if I do get this house, because the kitchen needs the drawers doing up.
All right.
So I was gonna.
Well, it's become a lockdown hobby.
Well, I figured with it's just been drawers and cupboard doors, I'd see if I could just sand them down and repaint them.
If they're actual wood, you can. If not, you can get paint that'll paint over the top of.
Just do a few coats.
Finish. You just have to scuff it. But we can talk about that off podcast.
Yeah,
this isn't the Ron Swanson, you know.
Maybe that'll be a bonus content video that I upload me repainting my drawers. So seeing as we're at the halfway point on the whiskies, should I talk a little bit about Loch Lomond?
I believe that was probably a good idea since that's the theme of this box.
So as you've probably, if you're a regular listener, I don't know why you would be, but if you are,
I mean, someone's got to keep the views up.
Exactly.
Above zero.
You'll know that the small part of me that's Scottish, which is a quarter, my clan comes from the Loch Lomond region. Or so I've been told. I don't have any.
That I can vouch for that by the name of
Fair
the
enough.
clan.
So I come from around Loch Lomond. On the Scottish side, I am 75% English, so I don't by any means come from from Scotland. But I think enough that if you guys did get independence, I could get a passport.
Probably if you've got a grandparent.
Yeah, which is, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Seeing as England seems set on destroying itself.
So that's what happens when you close the borders. England has to destroy something, right?
yeah, fair point. As long as we can take the south down, I'm all right with losing the north. So Loch Lomond Distillery And I haven't done any massive in-depth research on this. It's just what I picked up from drinking a lot of whiskey, talking to people. Loch Lomond Distillery, as kind of evidenced by the card, where you call it the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of distilleries, it has the most different kind of stills, I think, out of any distillery.
Is it not like 7 or 8 or something like that?
Yeah, at least out of Scotch distilleries. I don't think any distillery in the world has the same types, because like Macallan's got like 12 pot stills or something like that, but they're all pot stills. Whereas Loch Lomond has pot stills. It has these unique straight-necked pot stills. I think it has some column stills, similar to how the Yorkshire distillery does. Although the Yorkshire distillery is still the only one I know of that blends column still and pot still whiskey, but a slight plug there for the Yorkshire distillery. But I believe Loch Lomond is generally used for blends, because it can produce any types
that would make sense.
Of whiskey. Pretty much, you can make any kind of whiskey you want, because there's so many different stills. So I'm just looking at its page, and so it operates a unique setup of 3 sets of stills, so 6 stills total. It has 1 wash still, 1 spirit still, and 6 Lomond stills, which I'm guessing are the straight neck ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it has a range of single malts. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Loch Lomond malts, and 1, 2, 5 Inchmuir and Inchmowan. So 3 Inchmuir, 2 Inchmowan malts. But I believe generally it's a blend. So to try the actual single malts is it's not that rare, but it's different. And they also produce both grain and malt. So yeah, in terms of variety, I don't think many come close.
I would agree that 100% with the. I mean, just put by the variety in this box to have, peated ones, unpeated ones, lightly peated ones.
We've got a grain in there.
Got grain, but it's a single grain with 100% malted barley. So that's an interesting take. I feel like that's a single malt to me, but.
Well, I'll look that one up. Yeah, so I'm just reading it here.
But they do grain whiskey as well.
Because they have the straight neck stills have distillation trays in the necks, so that allows greater contact for the alcohol, the vapor to cool. Those stills, rather than the normal stills can produce alcohol around 70%, they produce them around 90%.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's it's an interesting one, and because that's where my clan is from, I always hope.
There you go.
Like I say, I always hope that they'll produce one really good one.
They could make you could probably get like a 80% cask strength if you just distilled that 90% alcohol one.
What's the legal maximum you can?
What drink?
Yeah, that you can sell as a drink.
I think I've seen 90% absinthe.
Can you sell it at that point as fit for human consumption?
Yeah. But I think I don't know. I think 100% wouldn't be allowed. I don't know where below would matter. I mean, I suppose technically anyone can make 100% alcohol. You just have to set up a filtration for and put the temperature to 100. Boil off all the water. Alcohol stay. Or does the alcohol boil off first? I don't know.
Yeah, alcohol boils off before water does. It's got a low boiling point.
So set the temperature at below 100 then.
Well, no, what you set it as is you set it at 100.
Yeah.
And you keep the alcohol vapors and you let the water just boil off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at Macallan. They've got 12 wash and 24 spirit stills.
Yeah.
It's
But there are two
ridiculous.
types of still, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a fantastic place to
There's a
visit.
factory more so than a.
It's a beautiful factory, though, isn't it? That one in the hillside. Yeah. Jesus.
But like they're one of the. You can tell them when you see them. We didn't go around Glenfiddich, but you can tell when you go to those places. Like we didn't go to Macallan here, but I mean, when you go to Glenfiddich and Macallan, you can tell that they're a industrial-sized operation for global distribution of large volumes of whiskey. They don't have one still wouldn't be enough for them to meet their demands, so they obviously have to size up operations. I wonder if all of their stills at Macallan have been like bashed and dented to match whatever the original one was, or if they're industrial.
I imagine so. Yeah, they must have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at the fourth one, which is yours to introduce, obviously. But with you saying that it was peated single grain, but it's 100% malted barley, that's accurate. Single grain Scotch whiskey is made exclusively from heavily peated malted barley. So how does that work?
It's a single malt,
but it's a single grain. I don't understand. Let me keep researching. You introduce us to whiskey number 4.
Well, here we go. Loch Lomond peated single grain, floral and smoky, 100% malted barley. The blurb says, even though this peated whiskey is called a single grain, it's actually made from 100% malted barley. Normally, whiskey made with only malted barley would be a single malt, but a quirk of Scotch whisky regulations means that name can't be used as the liquid was distilled in Loch Lomond's continuous stills, not a traditional pot still, an exceptionally rare style of whisky and a unique tasting experience. So it is a single malt, but it wasn't distilled the correct way, so it was done in
a column still. So if it was in Ireland, it would be a single malt because they use column stills.
Interesting. Yeah. So on the nose, clove, vanilla, blackcurrant. Blackcurrant is an interesting one. Haven't had that.
Yeah, I can maybe get that actually. Like a Ribena smell, but
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah,
there's definitely peat in there though.
A lot, yeah. I'm interested that they didn't bother saying on the nose smoke.
Yeah, I definitely get peat smoke from that. I don't know about you.
Yes. Sort of not even like smoky bacon, but like maybe
slightly medicinal, but not sweet.
No. So I'll let you go in for a taste.
Thank you very much.
It's brief on the palate and finish notes. It says sweet, tangy peat, green apple, lime citrus, and aniseed, with a finish that is crisp, dry finish with distant peat smoke.
So I held that in my mouth. No peat. As soon as you swallow, the peat comes through. It's not heavily peated. There's a little bit of peat. Well, there's a detectable peat smoke in there, but it's not overpowering.
It's a little bit salty.
Yeah. I can kind of get the green apple. I think that's what I got when I held it in my mouth, was the apple.
Take a little quick sip.
Yeah. So kind of like an an orchard fruit sweetness.
Yeah, the crisp dry finish, I would say, was appley.
I would say that's accurate as well. It does just kind of end.
Yeah.
Which is weird for a peated one. A peated one, normally you just get the peat forever.
It's like a lingering peat flavour in my mouth, but
I've got a lingering peat smell.
I would say it's just that there's still whiskey in my mouth, and it's a strong flavour, if you know what I mean. It's not a finish. Like, I can taste it on my upper palate rather than on my tongue.
Yeah, I have it like in the back of my nose, but I think peat just gets in there and that's it for the rest of the month now. Fortunately, it's towards the end of it. So I've got blackcurrant and mild peat on the nose, apple flavours at first, and then peat comes in but does not overpower. Crisp finish with very mild peat lingering.
It's definitely distant. That is a good way to describe it.
Distant.
Yeah, that's how it's written on the card, and that's how it feels. It feels like there's a hint of peat coming from somewhere, but it's probably not the whiskey. But obviously it is the whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, it's not abundantly.
I think if I was trying to introduce someone to what peated whiskies taste like, this would not be a bad shout.
No, that is a good point. Especially if they were a whiskey drinker who hadn't had peated whiskey. That one kind of has like, until the peat comes in, it has a little bit of a what do you call them? Glen Grant feel to it.
Yeah, I can because Glen Grant's quite appley and orchard fruitsy, you know.
Yeah, and light, essentially.
I was wondering if it's the fact it's the angle, because Glen Grant's known for having very high angle.
Yeah, like long, thin.
Yeah, they've got tall stills, but the pipe coming off the top is quite high angle as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they only get the very lightest stuff. So I'm wondering if the lightest alcohol vapors are the ones that give you the apple flavors, and this is why you get them from this, because they've got their straight up stills.
Yeah, it might be like, you mean like the flavor comes as a residual more so from the spirit than the oak. Yeah, that's likely.
That's what I was wondering when I saw that they were on about they've got straight neck stills, because like you say, Glen Grant produces kind of orchard fruit appley whiskey, and they're famous for having tall and high angle neck stills, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it just seemed like it was a bit of a coincidence, if not.
There's some science to the art, perhaps.
Perhaps. I hope so. When we open a distillery.
Yeah, we can
if
off of everyone.
If Chris decided to open a distillery and wanted
some knowledgeable people with an excellent following of in the 20s to run.
Yeah, we're still young. We're still young.
I mean, our following's in the 20s. I'm not in the.
Yeah, we have followers in the 20s, so we're young.
Yeah.
We're still young. We're still hip.
Yeah.
I wear sunglasses.
Inside. Hope not.
Can't see a damn thing. Do you want to give that a score? I'll give you, my comments are blackcurrant and mild peat on the nose, apple flavours at first and then peat comes in but does not overpower, crisp finish with very mild peat lingering.
Yeah,
and I've given yours as a distant peat smoke as a comment.
Yeah. It's I give that one like a 4, I think. Really enjoyed it. No, 3.5. I'm wrong. 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah. I said that it came out my mouth and I immediately did.
I'm going for a 3, and that's pretty high for me for a peated one. I could have another one of those. Sorry about that, everyone. A little bit of technical difficulties there during our recording. Hopefully, we'll have captured that I gave that a 3, which is pretty high for me on a peated one. And my comment was that I could have had another one of those, probably no more than 2. But that wasn't too bad either. I'm getting better at drinking peated whiskey. Oh, that was actually pretty good. So we will move swiftly on to our 5th one. But again, apologies, slight technical difficulties. But we're back now, cracking on.
Can't get the staff. Yeah.
Indeed.
Running in my internet wheel stopped.
You'd used up your portion of Scotland's internet for the night.
Yeah.
So, number 5. Again, Lomond, again, age 12 years. This one is Smoke and Spice Inchmowan. Is that how you say it?
Probably another island.
Inchmowan means island of peat.
Yes.
And was where Loch Lomond inhabitants of old sourced their peat.
Yeah.
Varying levels of peated malt run through both traditional swan neck and straight neck pot stills to create this smoke-driven dram. A real treat for peat lovers. There's a lot of like peat and smoked bacon and medicinal in all these tasting notes.
I'd like to point out that must mean that the old Scots for peat is moan. So that's what we're doing is just in the spirit of the name.
In the spirit. Oh, so many puns. Right. So on the nose, we should be getting dry peat smoke with vanilla syrup and cracked black pepper. I got there. I'm 4 whiskies in, just remember that.
Yeah, I'm mostly just getting the smoke and the pepper.
Yeah, just getting.
Not getting any syrup here.
No, smoke, a little bit of pepper. Yeah, there's a little bit of spiciness there. Well then, I'll let you dive in and I'll tell you what you should be tasting.
Okay.
Sweet medicinal peat and smoked bacon lead into roasted coffee bean with spice notes of clove and star anise. Warming spiciness combines with green apple and pear. Finish is long, waxy peat with citrusy hop notes and gooseberry.
It is not as peaty as you would have thought from those tasting notes.
Is there any tartness in there? Because gooseberry is known for its tartness. I'm just diving in now.
A little bit on the end. But yeah, it's immediately there is some of the medicinal, but it very quickly fades to the smoked meats, and then it sort of just dies off. Like, I would say there's not really that much peat in the finish.
Yeah, so that worried me when I first drank it, because the first flavour I got was medicinal peat, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then, like you say, it just died off. You got
It's
a
like
little
the
bit of the kind of
opposite.
earthy peat, the smoked meats, as you said. And then, yeah, it just seemed to fade away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that one was particularly heavily peated as well. Not compared to some we've had.
Mm-hmm. It does have a orchard fruitsness in the finish, more so than citrus, I would say. Although there's a lime. Maybe it's gooseberry. It's probably gooseberry.
Yeah, I feel like gooseberry is generally quite tart. It's a little bit of citrus flavour, but mainly the tartness.
The issue is it's like a combination of the bitter, not necessarily bitter, but like, the sharpness of orchard fruits and the sourness of like citrus fruits, and that I think that's where we're landing with the gooseberry, is it's just kind of tart.
Yeah, when I see gooseberry and something like this, I think tart, because I'm not a fan of gooseberries, but I know that they're quite tart because my old man likes them.
I used to eat them when I was a kid because my mom's uncle had a gooseberry plant in the back garden. He basically had like 25 meter squared allotment as his back garden.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my old man has a gooseberry bush. So I've put heavy peat on the nose, medicinal peat to begin, or I meant to put begin, but I put being. 5 whiskies will do that to you. Then smoked meat, but peat flavours quickly fade, replaced with tart fruit / gooseberry.
There is like a lingering hint of peat.
I find the trick with peat for me is to not breathe in through my nose for a little bit.
That's probably actually, it sort of lives in the nose.
It does. So if I breathe in through the nose, that renews the peat. If I just let it die, it's all right.
So just pant for a bit.
Yeah, be a mouth breather for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like to give that one?
Probably a 3.5 again.
A 3.5?
Yeah, I was going to try and say 4, but I'll just argue with myself as I say it. So it's 3.5.
2.5 because it's a little bit too peaty for me still, but only a little. That's it's not as bad as I expected when it was like, oh, it's an island of peat and peat. I was like,
I feel like if at the end of every whiskey drinking session you had one of those, eventually you would get to the point where you'd be like, peat's okay, and then someone would give you a peat monster and you'd be like, maybe not.
I don't know if I've ever had a Lafroig or a Lagavulin,
No?
I don't think so. I don't think there's ever been one in a Tramteen box. I've never bought one.
When we're finally allowed out of our own houses, we still plan to go to the island that creates all of these. So
100% we're going to go to Islay at some point. Yeah, definitely.
You're going to complain and they're all going to be like...
Yeah, but I mean, I'm a Yorkshireman. I like complaining.
Yeah, so they're all just going to be like... Oh.
And we're going to... The best thing is going to be if we go with other people, because we're the only 2 big whiskey drinkers, we'll be sozzled out as mind. Yeah. They won't. So we'll be laughing at things like T3 Rises and Machines.
Yeah.
And they won't. And we'll be in tears and they'll just be rolling their eyes about how stupid we're being, and that'll be great.
Yeah. Follow me.
because there's no better than that.
Yeah, but being the drunk people, rather
finding something funny with someone else when everyone else doesn't.
Yeah, no, that is true. Having an in-joke that other people had the opportunity to be in on, but chose to be sober.
Well, this is the thing, like, you know, even if we went to Islay with us friends, presuming we have any, like, how many whiskies behind are they? Between me and you, how many have we had together?
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're up to line on his Excel that we keep. We're up to line 249. So there's title lines in there.
Yeah, but
that's like
200
20.
recorded whiskies, and there's many, many, many unrecorded whiskies.
All of his distillery tours, all of his whiskey festivals, random whiskies we've tried during the visits to Scotland.
Also to that whiskey bar and all
sorts. Yeah. So we must be pushing like 350, something like that.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true.
So they're a long way behind. So me and you, we have got a lot of in-jokes, as you say. Anyway, we're getting onto non-professional podcasty stuff because I'm drunk.
This is how it always descends.
It is. Yeah. But keep focused. Yeah. Do you want to introduce us to our special dram, sixth dram of the day?
Sixth dram, which was supposed to be named something else, but I can't remember.
Dream dram.
Yeah. So this one is a Loch Lomond, aged 21 years. Loch Lomond's unique still setup allows for superior control over the flavours in their whiskey. This very special dram uses 3 styles of spirit, 2 peated and 1 unpeated, aged for over 21 years in a mix of American oak casks. The result is a rich, luxurious, fruit-driven whiskey with just the perfect hint of peat smoke, a proper drop of delight. On the nose, you should get toasted oak and coconut, green apple and ginger. It would appear that coconut is a common nose.
We've had coconut twice, but we've had green apple, I think, in every single one. So I'm going to bet on it being the neck of the still.
Yeah. Getting that? Any of those?
Can I get that flat smell again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of oak in there, like woody smells. I wouldn't be able to tell if it was oak or maple or pine or whatever, but wood smells, which if it's whiskey, you assume it's oak. It
smells, don't be alarmed, but it does have a slight, like, varnished wood smell.
No, to be fair, yes, 100% agree.
But I'm saying don't be alarmed because I don't think it's in the same Mr. Sheen category as the Glenkeith.
That's still waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, once we're allowed.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Apologies if you could hear me burp then. It's been a lot of whiskies.
So on the palate, we're expecting sweet vanilla fudge, peach and pear, lime juice with a touch of cinnamon spice, and in the finish, long and dry with a wisp of peat smoke and lingering oak spice.
You'll like that finish a lot of times. It is sweet, balanced, mid palate. It's not sweet, but then they've put sweet fudge, peach, and pear with lime juice, which is sour, so kind of balances it out, doesn't it?
It's kind of.
It's almost savoury.
Yeah. It's like a little bit like bready almost to me.
Yeah, it's savoury to begin, but then right before the finish starts, it does get a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, but it's in the. I'm not getting a lot of fruit flavours, is I think what I mean. So it's like bready and biscuity.
Yeah, I wouldn't say any fruit in there.
But that, I suppose, fudgy, cinnamon spice, and then your oak sort of flavours are often kind of can be biscuity.
So I'm going to put biscuity sweetness,
Add
savoury breadiness. Does that count as a terminology?
Yeah.
Dominate. The finish is... Sorry, I'm just having to retype finish because I spelled it wrong. Is long and dry with lots of tannins.
I did get some of the lime juice. There's a... It has a lot... It evokes a lot of baked good sort of feelings for me. There's a sort of like almost like a lemon drizzle at one point, but then it quickly faded off. I think I'd like to try more, but we only get 10 ml because it is a much more expensive one. But
yeah, it's hard to comment on the 10 ml sometimes.
Yeah.
So coconut
sometimes
again.
You get so overwhelmed in the first sip, and then you're like more than halfway through, and you're like, I really need to go at this 2 or 3 more times to work out what I'm trying to.
Yeah, so if you could all just like subscribe to the point,
so we can buy multiple boxes of each month.
Well, I mean, once we've got enough subscribers, we can be proper influencers and go to distilleries and be like, give us free stuff.
Yeah. Or like leverage a full sponsorship where we get sent a bottle of each. Okay.
I don't think I'd ever want to be in that position.
What?
Where
they said like... you buy 6 bottles of whiskey a month.
Well, that I'd be dead within a month. But I don't know. Just feels a little dishonest when you're being sent stuff for free and then you're telling people, yeah, you should definitely try this. Spend your hard-earned money on it.
I feel like it's fine as long as when someone sends you stuff for free and it's bad, you say this is trash.
Yeah, as long as you keep your integrity, I suppose.
You know, like, so if you're like, I was sponsored to review this as a review, but, you know, I wouldn't like to be sponsored, like, you know, like, blooming, what's the mobile game? Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Like,
but we will take sponsorship from you.
Yeah, but I'd have to play the game to work out. You know, when you see people just reading about stuff, like
I'm
when they
too
get
old
sponsored
for
by
mobile games. That's the problem.
When they get sponsored by a VPN and they start telling you to protect your passwords, and you're like, no, you just give your passwords to the VPN guys rather than someone else.
Like
your computer has, if you're on a site that's going to give away your passwords, it's going to give them away. If it's a HTTPS, then your password's already protected by encryption. So. But yeah.
There you go, a bit of IT advice. What doesn't this podcast give you? Did you want to give it a whiskey score, just like so this podcast also gives whiskey advice?
Oh yeah. That was more podcast advice, but yeah. I would say 3.5 again. Wasn't that inspired.
I think this one, more than any like 6 gram that we've had, suffered from a lack of volume.
Yeah.
Like I'll give that 3.5 as well, just because the first one was 4.
Might be a 3. It might be a 4.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, this is not a complaint against the Dram team because we think the Dram team
charge us more money if they wanted to.
Yeah, and we think the Dram team's amazing. Like, I'm speaking for you here, but
yeah, no, we're not sponsored. You know, we've said it many times before.
We're not sponsored.
This is an excellent product.
We'd love to be, but yeah, we big fans of the Dram team because how many times have we had whiskies? It's like 350 bottles made, and we get to taste them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
how many? When there's only 350 bottles, you've got to imagine there's collectors out there who are hoarding away bottles. So how many people are actually drinking this whiskey?
And you think about like the distillery will probably keep a couple of bottles back.
Yeah.
So
when you get down to numbers and those sorts of ranges, it really is special to be able to.
Yeah, so not a complaint against Dram team. It's just unfortunately that sometimes a 10 ml is just not enough to properly taste it. I don't know how much Jim Murray tastes for each of his.
I would hope he has a team that helps.
Yeah, he'd be dead otherwise, wouldn't he? Like 5 times over.
But yeah, well, because what is it? Is it not like 500 or something? No, there's more. It's like 5,000 or something. It was like 100 whiskies a week you'd have to drink.
I'm waiting for my red nose to come through. That's when, once I've got that, I know I'm a proper whiskey.
You're ready to guide the sleigh.
Exactly. Right.
Turns out Rudolph was just an absolute lush.
Just absolutely smashing the vodka behind us.
Yeah. Not the best guy to guide your sleigh.
That's why they didn't want him on the thing, because he's always drunk.
Yeah. We're not letting him play games because he always argues.
Yeah, he just gets angry. He's a violent drunk. There you go, kids. So those are our 6 whiskies.
Yeah.
There will be cards interspersed as always, giving our scores, and at the end, the cards will all be displayed again, giving our scores. So if you're just there for the scores, you can click at the end, which is now. I can say which is now. So I'm not saving you any time at all, because this is the end, and it'll be in a couple of seconds. It'll be showing up anyway. But yes, as a summary. Welcome to all our new subscribers. Thank you for joining us. It is much appreciated. Your support is fantastic, and hopefully in 2021, as the world returns to a bit of sanity, or what was sanity back in the day, at the start of 2020, we can start getting back out to distilleries. We can start doing visits again.
We're looking at avenues to introduce new. Obviously, we're trying to keep a bi-monthly upload schedule, and Dram Team, thankfully for my wallet, it's only monthly. So
thankfully for my liver.
Yeah, but we're looking at avenues to create alternative content than our usual fare. But we will still be uploading a monthly Dram Team box, hopefully more timely than we have been recently. Our next up box is we're revisiting the box that we tasted on stream. Well, we weren't on stream. We tasted and Dram Team and Finn of No Nonsense Whiskey streamed. So we'll be tasting that.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting experiment.
Comparing our scores back to what we had when we were doing it, guided by others, essentially.
Better.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say peers, but I feel like that would be a massive overstatement of our position in the community of whiskey.
But you should subscribe to us anyway.
Yeah. And, if you subscribe to No Nonsense Whiskey and you're not subscribed to us, you're doing yourself a disservice, because we got called out like 3 times in this.
And the other way around, if you subscribe to us and you're not subscribed to them,
yeah, well, definitely
give them a look. Yeah, definitely give them a look. That's
a much more comprehensive and regularly uploading channel.
Much more professional version of us. So yes, definitely give Vin a look. He's a good bloke.
Yeah. Did I say Finn? I think I might.
Vin, with a V.
Yeah.
Anyway. As always, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.